So far, we have seen that how a database is created, how the tables are being created, how the relationship between the tables is being maintained, what are the constraints, what are the data types in SQL. We also understood that what are the key requirements with respect to altering and doing the necessary structural changes which are there. But if I want to eliminate something between my structure, if I want to do some delete operations with the help of DDL commands, which of the commanding languages or which of the commands are being used from my DDL statements, how those commands are going to execute, what is the major difference between each one of them? Let's try to understand those things. So when I talk about DDL commands, DDL command consists of 5 commanding languages. The very first is create, which we understood. It helps you to create something. Then we have something called as alter, which will help you to alter or make the alterations into the structure. The third one over here is nothing but drop. And the fourth one over here is nothing but truncate. And the fifth one is rename. Now we have understood create and alter. Let's try to understand if the delete operations are happening, if I'm going to use alter or if I'm going to use drop. So when I talk upon drop as a statement or drop as a command, so if I give drop as a command to my MySQL server, drop means drop out. Now what do you want to drop out? You want to drop out everything. What is the meaning of everything? Means the entire database object. It could be dropping the name. It will consist of dropping all the columns and all the entries which are being stored. So the existing of that database object, the existence of that database object would be completely eliminated and you cannot get it back. If I want to talk upon truncate on the other hand, so truncate is going to eliminate all the rows. Now listen this carefully, that truncate is going to eliminate all the rows, whereas drop, when we understood, it is trying to eliminate everything. So truncate is eliminating all the rows. So what happens to the column names? What happens to the table name? Is it maintained or is it also being eliminated? So with respect to truncate, the structure is maintained. Now what is the meaning of structure is maintained? That means the table name and the column definitions are kept as it is. Only the rows or the entries which are there into the table or the database object is being eliminated. So that's the simplistic definition which I can explain with respect to drop and truncate. But let me show all those things theoretically as well as practically, that how both of them are going to be implemented and what is the major difference between both of them. When to use drop and when to use truncate. So if you can see on my screen that this were the data tables which we created. Now all the tables which we created, course, info, scores, students, now these tables are empty. But this is a table which we created on the fly, that is without any hassle, without any writing any code. This was a table created from a CSV file and it does has information. So if you see advertisement table, it does has information such as TV, radio, newspaper and sales. Now what I want to do over here is I want to implement drop and truncate both of them and see how does it works. So now I would be talking about truncate. So what does truncate do? It eliminates all the rows or records from the table. It's trying to eliminate all the records from the table and maintains the structure. Instead of and, you can talk upon but. Means even though it is trying to eliminate all the rows, it is trying to maintain the structure, but maintains the structure of the table. How does it say? Now why I'm showing truncate earlier, not drop, because you can see the difference. So if I do truncate, and in that truncate I have to mention what table. So truncate table. Now I cannot just write this query as it is. Which table do you want to truncate? So truncate table and the table name over here is advertisement. So If I do this, control and enter. So this is there, and if I see select star from advertisement, you can see the table is empty. Empty means all the rows are being eliminated, but maintains the structure, which means the table name is kept as it is. The column names and the column definition which are there, or the column structure, is maintained the same. So here if you can see, truncate is eliminating all the records from the table but maintains the structure. Now many people have this question. Can I say that I want to eliminate only particular elements or particular rows? Can I say that whatever is being eliminated, I need to get it back? Can I do this? No. Why? First of all, truncate is not going to use a where clause in order to mention what needs to be eliminated and what not. Truncate by default eliminates all the rows which are there into your table by maintaining the structure. The second question is, if all the data which is gone, can I get it back? The answer for this is also no. Why? Because truncate is a part of DDL statements, and DDL statements are auto-committed. What is the meaning of auto-committed? Auto-committed means once it is done, it's permanent. It's not going to roll back, or it's not going to give me an operation to bring back all the changes which are there. It's permanently gone. So this is how truncate is going to do, where it eliminates all the rows by maintaining the structure. So if you do select star from table name, it is giving you the structure, but it's an empty table. It is easy if you want to eliminate all the rows, if you want to maintain the structure, if you want to free up the table by some unnecessary information, you can use truncate at that particular instance. Now, this was about truncate, but let me explain you something related to drop. So, let me explain something related to drop. That is drop as a constraint. So, drop, it also eliminates. It eliminates. So, it also eliminates, but everything. It eliminates records as well as the structure. Which means it's trying to eliminate everything over here. So nothing is being kept over here to get it back, to trace it back. All the things over here with respect to records and the structure will be eliminated. Let's say I have advertisement as a table and all the rows are gone. So what is the purpose of this table? I don't want this table anymore. Now in my table or in my Imarticus database, I don't want advertisement as a table to be created or as a table to be there. So if it is found, so let's say you can do drop table, if exist, if not exist, you can implement that, but it's not mandatory. So I'll write drop table. I cannot write only drop and say that advertisement. If I try to do this, it's incorrect. Why? Because it is expecting me dropping what? Or advertisement of what? Do you want to alter or anything as such? No. Then it's a table. So you have to mention the keyword known as table. So drop table advertisement. So if I try to drop it, it's done. And then if I try to do select star from advertisement, it will show me an error. Now what is an error? Imarticus.advertisement doesn't exist. When I did the same task of elimination with truncate, it showed me the result set, but it was an empty table. But when I did the operation with drop, it has dropped everything related to the advertisement table. That is the rows, the records, the structure, as well as its name. So everything is being eliminated over here with the help of drop. So this is how drop works. It's not like you can only drop a table, you can drop all the database object. So let's say drop database, and I had created PG as a database. Now I don't want this database to be there. So it's being dropped. So here you can see You cannot see a PGA database over here because it's been gone. Now, one of the major carefulness which you have to follow whenever you're using truncate and drop is both of them are very sensitive in terms of use cases with respect to DDL commands. Why? Because one reason, both are auto committed, which means if the information is gone, it's totally gone. You're not going to get it back. The second thing over here is if any crucial information gets eliminated, it becomes very difficult to get it back, and it becomes very difficult to maintain the relational integrity over here. So whenever you're choosing drop or whenever you're choosing truncate to be used, you have to wisely choose that when to use what. So this is how the drop works. Now if you want to do drop over here, you can right click. There is an option of drop as well, which you can drop, or you can drop it from here as well. You can do the same for the table. Let's say this is a table which you have created and you don't want it. You just have to right click by clicking on the table name, and there are many options which you can choose, that is drop table, truncate table, create table like, and many more such cases which are there. So this is how drop and truncate helps. So if we see with the theoretical part, that is, drop table statement is used to delete the existing table. The statement removes the complete data, which means everything will be eliminated with the whole structure or definition permanently from the database, which means everything is eliminated from the database, and that too permanent. So you must be very careful while removing the table, because we cannot recover the lost data after deleting it. As I mentioned, that you have to be very careful, as drop and truncate both are very sensitive commands which are there, and we have to use them very wisely. So syntax is drop table and the table name. If you want to drop multiple tables, yes, drop will allow you to drop multiple tables. So sometimes we want to drop more than one table from the database, and in that case we have to use table names and separate them by the comma operator. And there is a syntax for dropping multiple tables as such. Now, the difference between truncate and drop. You can also use drop table command to delete the complete table, but it will remove both the complete table as well as structure. You need to recreate the table again if you want to store some data. You have to create the table again from scratch. Whereas in truncate, you know that the structure is maintained, the table name is there, only the rows would be eliminated. That is, the table would be made empty. So, but in the case of truncate table, it removes only data, not structure. As I said, that it only removes the elements, not the structural part. You don't need to recreate the table, which means if you want the structure to be there created, if you want to insert more data, you don't need to create it from scratch. The structure is being maintained, you can directly fill in the details. So you don't need to recreate the table again, the table structure already exists. So this is only the major difference between truncate and drop, as both of them are used in terms of elimination part. Now this could be an interview question asked for you, that what is the difference between drop and truncate, and why do we use it? What is the purpose of drop? What is the purpose of truncate? And which among the two commands are auto committed? Over here, both are auto committed. Why? Because both are a part of DDL statements, and DDL statements are auto committed in nature. So this was about drop and truncate. Now, let me also talk about the last command or the last constraint the last command which we have. So now let me talk about the last command which we have pending in terms of DDL statements. Now, the last command, which is known as rename. Now, many of the people don't study rename as such, but rename is one of the command which is there. Now, rename is used to rename the table name. So, it is used to rename the table name from the So, it is used to rename the table name which is there. Now I don't have a table to rename. If I rename any of these tables, there is a differential integrity which will be hampered. So let me bring in some sample data by import table data.wizard. You must be knowing that this is how it is done. Let me take this iris as a data and rename. Next, next, next. And you can see this is there, 150 records. So I have a table name known as iris. So select star from, and the table name is what? Iris. If I show you, this is the data which I have. So if I refresh, it will be reflecting. Now iris as a table name I don't require. I can change the name of the table by two ways. Two ways would be one with respect to alter, which we have seen earlier, and another would be with respect to rename as a command. So if I change, so rename with alter. So if I want to rename it with alter, how I have to do? Alter table and the name of the table known as iris. Rename, that is I want it to be renamed to, what is it name? That is flower info. So if I just want to change to any random name as such, flower info, and I do control enter, you can see it's changed, and when I refresh, you can see instead of iris, it is showing flower info. So this is how I can rename the table with respect to alter. But renaming a table directly without the use of alter is also possible. So rename the table directly without alter. So without alter command, if I want to rename a table, will I be able to do it? Yes. So you just have to write rename. Just a second. You just have to write rename table. So rename table, now you can see it is expecting the name of the existing table, which means it is incomplete. You have to mention the name of existing table, means the pre-created or the available table name. What is the available table name which I have? Flower info. Now it is expecting 2. You can see my SQL is only directing me that what I want to do. So rename it to what? Now what it is telling me? Expecting a new table name, which means now it says that give me a new table name. Flower info. Let's say I want to see details. The table name is what? Details. Over here. And that's done. So here if I refresh, so from iris it changed to flower info with the help of alter, and with the help of direct rename it changed from flower info to details. So information or the columns are not going to change over here. It is just changing the name of the table. So if I do select star, just a second, if I do select star from details, you can see that it shows me the same data which was being there in iris. So this is how we can see the DDL commands are working. This is how all the DDL statements work. We understood all of them practically as well as theoretically. I hope we are able to understand what are DDL commands and how they are helpful in terms of maintaining or in terms of the structural formation or the organization of a database when it is created from scratch. So this was all about DDL commands.